Howdy AdWords fans, and welcome back. In the previous lecture, we talked about location targeting, location settings, how to actually configure the location options you want, but there's a couple more advanced settings I want to spend a few minutes on. And while I initially planned on kind of skipping over these or going through them pretty quickly, I really think they're important and it's worth spending a few minutes on. So if you open up this dialog, location options, and you open up this expanded menu, you'll see that you have 3 options under the target category, and you have 2 options under the exclude category. These are different ways that you instruct Google how to deal or how to perceive your targeted locations and how to treat your excluded locations. So let me pull up a couple slides that I prepared that will help us understand these different options, these 5 options, in greater detail. So the first option you're going to have under target is to reach people in searching for or who show interest in my targeted location. It's pretty vague. So the main thing to realize is that the person does not actually have to be in your target locations to see your ad. This is really the most important thing to realize about this particular setting. Say you're only targeting your ads to New York. Just as an example, there are many instances where a user who's not in New York, they could be in another country, might be eligible to see your ad, click on the ad, and cost you money. So shows interest is up to Google to decide. This is data collected from multiple sources. It could be that the primary source is that their query contains your location. So if somebody's in Paris and searches for something related to New York, related to one of your keywords, then your ad would be eligible to show. But shows interest is not there's no clear guidelines for what shows interest really means. It could be that person traveled to that location recently. It could be that it's in their query, or it could be from other data sources. This is the default option used by Google. It will get you to spend the most money quickly, but we don't recommend it. Unless it makes sense for your business in particular, don't use this option. If you want to go broad, or you have certain types of businesses, we're going to give an example in a second, then it could make a lot of sense for you. So it's not necessarily a bad option. Just know what you're getting yourself into. So let's go through a quick example. All right. So let's say our keyword is car rental. The keyword you're targeting in your account is car rental, and your targeted location is Las Vegas. For the sake of this example, say that's the only location you're targeting is Las Vegas. So we have our search term, the user's location, and whether or not your ad is eligible. So let's go through 2 or 3 different examples. So say the person searches for car rentals, and they're specifically in Las Vegas. Is your ad eligible to show? Sure it is. They're searching for a keyword. The keyword itself doesn't include a location, but they're in your targeted location. Let's take another example. Vegas car rentals. They're in Chicago. So someone in Chicago is searching for car rentals in Vegas. And this is what I was alluding to before, where your business might be a good choice. This targeting option might be a good choice for your business, because you might want to reach people who are planning a vacation to your location, to your targeted location, but they're currently searching from another location. So this ad, what do you guys think? Is this ad eligible to show? Is your ad eligible to show in this instance where the user's in Chicago? Yes, it is. If you guessed yes, you're right. Say another search term, rent cars Vegas, and they're in Paris. They're in another country altogether, but they're searching for rental cars in Vegas. Is your ad eligible to show? Take a second. What do you think? Another country? Yes, the answer is your ad is eligible to show. So that's an overview of this first default option, reaching people in, searching for, or who show interest in your targeted locations. And once again, this would apply to all your targeted locations. So the same concept would apply even if you had multiple targeted locations loaded into your account. Let's take a look at the next targeting option. Reaching people in your targeted location. This is Adventure Media's recommendation. This is the best option for most companies. The main thing to realize is that your ads are only going to be showing to someone who's considered to be physically in the area that you've targeted. And we say considered because there are different ways Google determines whether or not you're in that location. They use GPS, they use IP addresses, so it could be wrong sometimes. It's not a perfect. The more narrow you target, the more inaccurate it will be. Typically, if you target an entire state or an entire city, you should be 99% okay. It should be accurate. But this is the setting that probably will make the most sense for you. If you target a location, people in that location will see your ad. They will not see your ad if they're outside of that location. Even if people outside of your targeted area include terms related to your target locations, they don't see your ad. And we're going to show an example. This option gives you more control over who sees your ads. Very simple. If you target a location, you know that only people in those areas are going to see your ads. And this is the best option for most businesses. So let's go through another example. So say we have a new keyword, right? So travel agents, and our target location now is California. Our keyword is travel agents, target location California. We have the same chart, search term, user location, and is our ad eligible to show? So say somebody searches for travel agents in California and they're in Las Vegas. Is your ad eligible to show? They're specifically showing interest in your targeted location, but they're physically not in your targeted location. What do you guys think? Take a second to think about this. Is this going to be a check or an X? Your ad is not eligible to show because in this targeting setting, you could only show ads to people in your targeted location. So if you got that right, fantastic. Say someone searches just for travel agents and they're in San Diego. For those of you who may not be familiar with the US, San Diego is in California. San Diego is a location inside your targeted location. Is your ad eligible to show? They didn't show interest, they just searched for travel agents. Is your ad eligible to show? What do you guys think? Yes, your ad is eligible to show because it's a related keyword and the person is physically inside your targeted locations. Say someone searches for best travel agents in LA, in Los Angeles, another location inside California. They specifically are looking for your keyword and they're specifically showing interest in your targeted location, but they're in Chicago. What do you think? If you guessed that their ad would not be eligible to show, once again, you're right, because it's the exact same thing as the first example. So this is an overview of the second type of targeting, reaching people in your targeted location. This is the targeting that we recommend for most businesses. If you're not sure, if you have a tighter budget, go with this option. But we gave examples in the previous slide of businesses that would be better suited for choosing the option that allows you to show ads to people who are showing interest or who search for your targeted location. The third and final option under targeting advanced settings is reaching people searching for or show interest in your targeted location. And this is quite an interesting option. In this option, you're showing ads to anyone who shows interest in your targeted location by either searching for, viewing content about, or having settings in their browser, in their Google Chrome browser or their Android phone settings related to your targeted location. So it's very vague. This is the information that Google provides. And it's an interesting option for certain types of businesses, but largely it's not going to be used very often. The actual physical location of the user in this targeting setting is completely ignored. Where the user is absolutely not relevant. They have to be showing interest. They have to be searching in some way for your targeted location in their keywords. And like I just said, it's an interesting targeting option for specific use cases. It's not an option most businesses will use. Let's jump over to our example again. So this time we have the keyword concert tickets, and our target location is New York. Same chart, search term, user location, and is our ad eligible to show? Say our keyword is concert tickets for sale, and the user's location is in New York. Take a moment to think about whether or not your ad is eligible. The user is in New York, your target location is in New York, and the search term is concert tickets for sale. The answer is no, because in their search term, they didn't specifically search for what you have to offer. Now, let me just give a quick caveat. It is true that there might be some instances in this example, concert tickets for sale as the keyword, having the ad eligible to show if their browser settings are kind of configured in New York, if they've traveled to New York a lot. But those are things that Google doesn't tell anybody about. So what they have said is that the primary way of showing interest is in the search term and what the person actually typed into the Google search box. So that's what we're using for the sake of these examples to give us a good kind of projection of where our ads would be showing and to who our ads would be showing. Say our next search term is New York City concert tickets, and they're in London, right? They're outside of your targeted location. Your ad would be eligible to show because in their search term, they're specifically showing interest in New York City. So you have the keyword, the search term, Manhattan concerts, and you're in Chicago. Is your ad eligible to show? Manhattan is a location inside New York, and your ad would be eligible to show. So you have the same exact search term, Manhattan concerts, and instead of in Chicago, you're actually in New York. So then, of course, it's a no-brainer that your ads would be eligible to show. So that's an idea and overview of this third type of targeting. One example where this might make sense is, say that you're a business that has a very, very strong market share in your local market, right? You only service, let's just take New York, right? Say you only service New York, or you only service Manhattan, but you have a very high market share in Manhattan. You have a lot of awareness in Manhattan. You don't want to be advertising in Manhattan. What you want to do is break out into other states that are searching for your service in Manhattan. For example, let's say you own a public storage facility, right? And you do a lot of billboard advertising in Manhattan. You don't want to do PPC in Manhattan, but what you want to do is get people around the country who are moving to Manhattan and who are now looking for storage. This is an ideal, perfect example. You might have people in California and Montana and Florida who are moving to Manhattan and they need public storage because they're moving into a small apartment from a house in the suburbs. So this would be a pretty good targeting setting to consider, where you don't care where the person is, but what you want to do is target people anywhere in the country or anywhere in the world searching for public storage units in Manhattan. So that's a really, really good option to try to target. You can also set up your campaign to specifically exclude New York and include and target all the other states, and use the first targeting option of people who are in or show interest in my targeted locations. So that would be a good example to consider. What I want you guys to think about is, think about your business, and based on these 3 different targeting settings, what do you think would be the best targeting option? But don't just think about what would be the best. I want you to write down a pro and con of each one of these targeting settings. Who might you be attracting that would be good in each of these 3 targeting settings, and who might you be excluding that would be a good click in each of these targeting settings? That's going to be a very good exercise to help you understand the dynamics of these targeting settings, and it'll help you kind of memorize them, and they'll become second nature as you think about your campaigns and ad groups and keyword lists. So that's an important exercise to do, and I'll create a template after this lecture with just an outline for that exercise. So let's just quickly jump into the targeting options for exclusions. We have 2 targeting options for exclusions. We could either exclude people in searching for or viewing pages about my excluded locations. I'm not going to go as in depth about the examples because it really works the exact same way as the targeting options. This is the recommended option, and this is also Google's default option. So just a quick example. If your keyword is USB cables for sale and you exclude Detroit, right? So say Detroit is one of your exclusions. Your ads are not going to show if somebody searches for USB cables for sale if the user's in Detroit. Your ads also won't show if the user is in another state and they actually show interest. So it's the exact inverse of the first targeting option. So you're excluding as much as possible as opposed to including as much as possible. So if somebody's out of the state and specifically searching for what you offer, but they're searching for your excluded location, they're not going to see your ad. The other option, which is also a good option, right? It kind of depends on your, once again, it depends on your business. It depends on your strategy to exclude people in my excluded location. I often use this setting and our account managers often use this setting for our clients. Exclude people in my excluded location. So using the above example, if a user outside of Detroit searches for USB cables for sale in Detroit, your ads will be eligible to show. Yes, Detroit is your excluded location, so anybody inside Detroit won't see your ads, but if somebody specifically searches for Detroit, your ads will be eligible to show. Now, once again, it really depends on your business. If you don't want to advertise in Detroit because you have a good market share or you know the clicks are too expensive, but you could service people who are looking for what you offer in Detroit, you could service them, you want those customers, but you just want them searching from out of state, then this is the ideal targeting option because you want your ad to be eligible to show if somebody's outside Detroit, because then the click will be cheaper, whatever it may be. If for some regulatory issue or any other reason you cannot service people in Detroit, period, then you want to go with the first option. So you have to evaluate the dynamics of your business and what your overall marketing objectives are. Now let's just jump back into the actual AdWords account and we'll just configure these settings for ourselves. So I have my location options advanced menu open. I'm going to select people in my targeted location, and I'm going to select to exclude people in my excluded location. So just to bring it all back full circle to pop in furniture, we're only targeting people in the US, right? If somebody's sitting in France and they're searching for office furniture in the United States because they know that the US makes really good furniture, I don't want them clicking on my ads because we don't ship overseas. I'm just making all this stuff up. Now you might be thinking, but hey, maybe the person in France is looking to move to the United States and they're looking for a place to buy furniture to. That might be, and you're never going to have a perfect world. None of these targeting settings is going to be a perfect match for every one of your customers every single time. But you have to go with what you feel is going to be the average customer who's overseas looking for office furniture for sale online in the United States. So for now, we'll go people in my targeted location is who I'm going to target. And for my exclusion method, I'm actually going to exclude people in searching for who show interest in my excluded location. So let's say, just for the sake of an example, we excluded Arkansas, right? That state, because we know that people who typically are looking for office furniture inside a given state or city, they're looking for a retail store, right? So we don't have, let's say we don't have any retail stores and we don't ship to Arkansas. So I don't want people in Arkansas searching for office furniture to find me because we don't ship to them. And I don't want people who are out of the state moving to Arkansas looking for office furniture to find me either, because those people are typically looking for a retail store. So that's the thought process in this fictitious example of Poppin. I don't really know their shipping policies. I don't know their regulatory issues. I have no idea. I have no affiliation. With them whatsoever. But just in this imaginary fictitious example, that would be the thought process I'd walk you through, explain to you how I reach these conclusions, why I want to set up people in my targeted location for my targeting setting, and this setting for my exclusions location. We've spent quite a bit of time on location targeting. I think you all now have a very, very, very solid understanding. Don't forget to do the exercise. It'll be super, super helpful. I don't do a tremendous amount of exercises, but a small amount of easy exercises that are really, really relevant, especially as they relate to these fundamental aspects of setting up an account and configuring your first campaigns. It's really, really worthwhile to take a few minutes. So I will see you guys in a few minutes in the very next lecture, where we're going to get into languages and then into bidding strategies. Talk to you guys soon.